Hi, it's Jasmin. You know, that girl who did you-know-what way before the internet ever existed. Join me and my special guest every week as we talk about anything and everything because nothing is too taboo. So punch your ticket and get on board the Krazy Train with me, Jasmin St. All aboard!
Welcome to a brand new episode of Krazy Train Podcast. This week's guest helps me dive into the deep world of power slap. Let's welcome to the podcast, Vin the Mercenary. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad we could make this happen because I've been catching up on all of the power slap stuff right now, or as much as I can. And I just don't know how you do it. Like, how did you get involved in power slap?
It's actually kind of a funny story. I was watching Power Slap back when it was just in the European League. So, I mean, these guys were slapping each other in what looked to be barns or like old ran down warehouses. And I said to my wife watching it one day, I said, you know, if this ever came to America and they regulated it and they had the commission behind it, this could be a really big thing. And I kind of like jokingly said, like, you know, I could get up there and do it, more or less like joking. One thing led to another, and Power Slap kind of became a thing. And season one kind of went by, and I was kind of watching. I was watching the more or less the rules kind of get ironed out. And I was watching, and I was thinking, this has really got a lot of potential. This has got a big market, and I mean, the clips were just insane. I could see the clips blowing up, and I'm like, well, maybe this is something I need to think about. So season 2 of the Road to the Title series, came along, and I thought, okay, maybe this is time for me to really, throw in an application and see what happens. So the wife told me, she's like, yeah, if you're going to do it, you got to be all in. And that's exactly what I did. I've been training, every single day, basically since that first application hit the emails. And ever since then, it's been pretty much day in and day out of just the same hard work and dedication to the sport. But yeah, that was basically how I got into it.
Well, I mean, you got to be in it to try to win it, right? So you put your application in and there you are thinking about it. What does training look like?
Usually I wake up pretty early. I'm a personal trainer full time. So I wake up pretty early. I have some earlier clients, but I usually like to wake up, a half an hour to an hour before my first client, get a run in, maybe 3 miles, nothing too crazy, nothing too intense, but, a good intensity, I guess you could say. And then, I'll go through my work day. In between there, I might get a strength and conditioning session in. So that's usually exactly what it sounds like, strength training. So it'll be, certain group, if I'm doing chest, it'll be a chest day. So, it'll be chest exercises, something along those lines. And then I'll like to do like a sauna, cold plunge, kind of do the contrast therapy for recovery. And then if I'm really still sore after that, take the massage gun and, kind of beat myself down a little bit just to, help that muscle stimulus and the repair happen. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like it's day in and day out. I use a lot of kettlebells in my training. I love resistance bands. I call them shadow slaps, but basically just, you take a resistance band, kind of put it to your wrist and then go through the same motions as if I was slapping. I find that helps with speed and just technique overall. But yeah, there's lots of things I'm still trying. I'm trying to kind of experiment because it is such a new sport. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of room for growth and a lot of things that I've changed up from even my last training camp to now. So, I mean, it's constantly evolving and growing, and I'm kind of just growing and evolving with it.
It's definitely very interesting. Some people say it's a trend. Some people say it'll fade, but it's come to the USA. What are your thoughts on this being just a trend, or do you think it will get as big as UFC?
As far as a trend, I don't think it's really a trend. I don't think this is, I think Power Slap's going to be around for a long time. I mean, we've only been around for like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years now. And look at the growth that we've already seen. I mean, the fan base, the events have gotten bigger. Like even just in New Orleans, that was completely full from floor to ceiling. Like the crowd was, electric. I mean, it just seems like, and even with the more events and the more that we travel, I feel like the growth is just going to keep flourishing. And it's almost like a snowball effect, right? It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But yeah, I definitely don't think it's a trend. I think, but the fan base is definitely growing, and people are starting to get more in touch with the fighters and understand that, there's a lot more to this than just getting up there and just smacking someone. There is a lot of technique. There's a lot of, and that's both offensively and defensively. So, I think the more that the fighters kind of expose what we're doing and what we're, able to do, it'll kind of bring more light to that. It's not just, you get up there off the couch or something and, you hope for the best kind of thing, a hope and a prayer, right? So.
Yeah, I don't think people understand. It's the same thing as wrestling. I do have friends that I work with that are participants in Power Slap. You said something before about rules and regulations. What are the exact rules and regulations? Because I'm curious. I do see the timing of the 1, 2, 3 smack. I just like, what kind of rules are there in this?
We'll start with like a striker. So the striker, you have to have your hand flat on their face. So when you're measuring, you have to have it completely flat. So you can't be leading, like you can't have it where the palm is leading, because that is essentially just a palm strike. You're basically giving them a right hook, but instead of, turning your fist, you're just using your hand, right? So that's a big no-no. That's a foul. Another one would be stepping. So that is when you're pivoting. So in MMA or boxing, you're taught, you pivot with the right hook, right? You pivot with the, your straights or whatever. In Power Slap, you can't. Your feet have to stay down. Now, the rules say that in stepping, we can have a minor heel lift. So your heels can come up, but your foot you can't pivot your foot at all. So as long as your feet are basically still and your heel comes up a little bit, that's okay. But if it comes up and turns a little bit, that's classified as stepping. Now, on the defensive side, you can get called for flinching. So basically, flinching is if you move before the timing of impact, and basically with moving with it would impede the impact of the hit. So if you're rolling too soon and it comes in and hits you here, then again that's going to be flinching. You're going to have to basically eat another slap. So it's like a double. You can get a point taken from that, but you also have to get hit again. And who wants to get hit twice in a row if you don't have to, right? So.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to get hit twice in a row by some of these people. I've got to ask you where your accent is from. You sound Canadian, but I don't think you are.
No, I actually am. I am Canadian. Yeah. No, you nailed it.
Yeah, I could tell. I have a lot of friends that are Canadian. Plus, I took dialects for like 4 years. So I could totally pick up on that. How long did it take them to get back to you after you put the application in?
So when I put the first application in, it's like I said, it was just before season 2, and season 2 was just starting to come out. I applied pretty much every month. The poor matchmaker, I'm sure she was sick of me at a certain point, but I was showing that I have the dedication, and I wanted to show them that my weight was coming down too, and that I was taking photos of myself to show the progress of myself as well. So that they knew that, hey, he wants this, and he maybe we should give him a shot. And I just didn't want to get overlooked. So I figured, if I was a little bit more persistent in my application and implying, that I would probably hopefully get a shot a little bit sooner than some of the other guys. Cause I kind of knew that there was more guys coming up on, behind the scenes and wanting their shot as well. But it was about 6 months before I heard back. And it was funny because I was in the gym and I was just kind of going amongst my thing, and I had gotten a text message from the matchmaker, and she said, "Hey, are you available today for a quick video call?" And of course, I jumped on it right away. Well, yeah, absolutely. And we had a little, voice call, had a little meeting, and it was pretty much history from there. I was on season 3 of Road to the Title, and that was a crazy, awesome experience. A lot of ups and downs, and that house was a pressure cooker, but I'm truly grateful for the experience.
It looks like a lot of fun to a degree. I mean, I have one friend who sort of flinched, I think, when she, or coworker, I should say, when she got slapped. And is there some sort of rule or regulation you have to have braids if you have longer hair?
Yeah, I think there is that. One for the judges, I think, like if your hair's flapping around, it makes it look like there's more of an impact. So on defense, it's smart to have your hair braided so that that impact doesn't look like it. One of the fighters, Manny Muniz, he used to have like really, really big pink hair. Like it was like almost like not an afro, but kind of like that style. And when he got hit, it made it look a lot worse than what it was. And I think he lost one of his fights because of that reason. So I think fighters now are kind of picking up on certain things like that. But yeah, like I think braids are definitely the way to go if you're going to do it.
Yeah, it looks kind of cute, I guess. Now, you said you get up early. I'm just curious, what's early for you?
So early for me, usually my first client's at 5:30 a.m. So
Oh,
I'm
God.
usually up around 4:30. Yeah, it's pretty
No.
early. It's the I beat the sun up most days and watch it rise. So
Good Lord. God bless you for getting up that early. There's no way. I mean, I'm going to bed by like 4:30 in the morning. There's no way I could even see myself getting up to
yeah,
go to
I'd
the
much
gym
rather it
then.
the other way around. But I
Yeah.
mean, I got to provide for the family and the kids and everything. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But yeah, honestly, I don't mind. Now it's become such a routine. At first, it was brutal. Yeah, I was not a fan. But, it's kind of become a routine now. So it's a second nature. But
I can only imagine. I do get up at 7 sometimes or like 8. I mean, 8, like 7 a.m. is pushing it for me. Sometimes I got to be up at 9 a.m. Like being me is a full-time job. I just roll with the punches when I have to. Were you a fan of extreme sports prior to Power Slap? That's my question.
oh, absolutely. I've been a massive fan of UFC, MMA, since I was a kid. Like it's funny because I used to sneak down when I was like 8 years old and sneak into our basement. We had like a little black and white television. I used to throw on Spike TV and watch the UFC events, and it was like GSP was fighting like Bisbing and all these guys. So now it's interesting that now Mike Bisbing's our commentator, and I've had an opportunity to meet him and stuff. When I was just a kid once upon a time watching these guys fight in the octagon, thinking that that they were like the be all end all, like role models to me. And, now I get to experience it. And now I actually get to be in the same light, just in a different organization, but it's still, same people, same group behind the scenes. So it's really cool to have that. I don't know. It's a dream come true, honestly. Like I always said when I was a kid, I wanted to fight for Dana White. And of course, my parents were very strict European, and they were like, no, you're not fighting. You're not doing anything like that. You know what I mean? And as I was younger, I kind of got bullied and stuff. So they threw me into Taekwondo, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And so that kind of was my start into MMA. And, as high school went on, I got into wrestling, and I did boxing after that, and a little bit of Muay Thai, a little bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I just was never able to really get my feet underneath me to go into amateur scene for MMA. I did try amateur for boxing, and I had some success, and I just never really thought much of it. And Power Slap came up, and I was like, you know what? Like this is a big opportunity, and I know what it's like to be up there. I know what it's like to take a hit. I know the little psychological games guys like to play and stuff. So I felt like I had an edge on a lot of the guys that, seemed like they hadn't really ever had experience in MMA or combat sports in general. So yeah, it was just, it was a whirlwind of, for me being young to now and just looking back at it, it's pretty incredible.
When you're saying strict European, what part of Europe?
So my mom's actually from Greece.
Oh, lovely.
So the Mediterranean area. And then my dad's from Scotland, actually. So he's more of the laid back, more easygoing. And my mom's like very strict, like these are the rules, this is how it goes kind of thing. So
Yeah, that's how Greek women usually are. My parents are European as well, but I'm very familiar with Greek culture. My best friend growing up, she's Greek. We still speak all the time. She went back to Greece. Because of her, I actually learned how to make moussaka. So that's one
oh,
dish
right.
I'm good at. But the thing is, I'm not Greek. So take that for
So
what it
it
is.
doesn't have that little touch, right?
It does. Well, no, my real name is Greek, which is Rhea, and that's the mother of Zeus, wife of Cronus. So it still has somewhat of a Greek flair to it. I just don't know how much of a Greek flair. You did say something interesting, and I know that my female listeners will be interested in hearing this. When you said psychological games that guys play, I guess with one another, I'm curious. You have to elaborate on that.
It goes from right from getting the call. You know what I mean? Usually I have guys DM me. I'm not one to DM like, back and forth or anything like that. Like I'm more humble till you rumble. Let's get on the stage and let's see who the bigger man is, and then I'll talk my crap afterwards, kind of thing. But yeah, some guys like to, hit up in DMs and message you and, try to get in your head psychologically, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you don't hit that, you're throwing pillows, or they'll just say little nitpicky things to kind of like, just put that little bomb in there just to kind of leave it in there and let it set, right? But like with me, it's more like I like to use, like when we're facing off, you know what I mean? Like just leaving it short and sweet, like when I was up there with Tyler, all I said to him, like, it's almost time. And I could see it in his face, like, I could tell I had a little bit more excitement and a little bit more energy. And he was just kind of like, okay, yeah, like, it's almost that time. You know what I mean? So, like, just the little things we say back and forth. And even on stage, like, when you smack someone as hard as you can, and all they do is laugh at you, or they blow you a kiss, or they tell you that was nothing and they laugh, or whatever they may do, that gets to you a little bit, because you're like, man, I just hit this guy with everything I got, and it didn't even phase him, like, and I still got another 2 rounds. Like, that's the kind of psychological stuff that kind of, you can kind of work with and kind of play with, and everybody has their different style of how they want to go about it, but it's definitely, it's a part of the game that I don't think it's been exposed as much. But there is definitely like psychological warfare back and forth between, rounds and between fights, before fights, all types of stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm sure the women all can definitely relate to that on their day to day.
I'm telling you, I think I'm going to start blowing kisses to people that I beat up with a Singapore cane moving forward. I haven't, it doesn't usually end that way, but I think I'm going to start doing that. I forgot about the whole blowing kisses things to people. I usually call guys like Sunshine or Buttercups when they get upset or offended. Like, that's in real life.
It gets the ego a little bit, right? It knocks their pride down, whatever you got to do.
A little bit, but you have to understand, in certain parts of the US, you do that to some guys, they'll take it because they're already emasculated. Like, these aren't guys going to the gym doing things like what you do. They sure as hell would not end up on Power Slap at all.
Fair enough.
One thing you do learn, though, with like acting classes and stuff, is you always pick up on energy and like looks from people. And, I see some of those stare downs that you give to one another. Do you see yourself doing anything aside from Power Slap, perhaps boxing?
Honestly, I've definitely thought about it. It was funny because when I applied for Power Slap, I actually applied for BFKC as well. And they had the Canadian, it was like a Canadian Prospects series or something, some show that could come up. And I had already had an offer from Power Slap. So I accepted Power Slap and I said, you know what, I'm going to stick with Power Slap. But maybe down the line, like right now I'm 3-0, 2 knockouts. Like, I mean, I've had great success. The pay's really good. I'm happy with where I'm at. I can't see myself, merging into anything else right now. But maybe down the road, like I'm still young. I still got, time in my prime to, maybe test the field in a couple of years, see where the next year or 2 goes with Power Slap. And, if I'm happy with where I'm at, I'm definitely staying with Power Slap. But if I decide maybe I want to venture out on something else and, try my feet at boxing and see what my hands can do on a big stage there, I might do that as well.
Yeah, I think we've seen what your hands can do already. That's those of you who have watched Power Slap. It just baffles me sometimes. Like, I can't just, what goes through your mind? And I'm not trying to judge you. Like, we all make choices in life that people try to understand. What was going through your mind? Like, didn't you even think, hey, there's a possibility my orbital bone could get knocked out? Do you even have health insurance? But yeah, so what goes through your mind?
When I'm backstage before the fight, obviously I got to accept the worst case scenario, right? And that's getting knocked out, suffering a concussion. It's like you said, a broken orbital, broken nose. Like, I mean, these are all things that I know that comes with the risk. But I mean, I'm in the hurt business, and in my mind, I'm here to bring the hurt. So it's just like, it's like you said with the energy thing, I kind of use that, right? It's just energy. It's just, for every negative thought, I try to supplement it with 2 positive thoughts, right? So, I rely a lot on my training. Like my training gives me the confidence to go up on stage and perform because I know what I can do with my strength. I know what I'm capable of. And that I rely on that so much because when I'm sitting in the back room, I mean, you're nervous, you got the jitters, you got a million things running through your brain. And, I just try to calm it down and try to slow it down and just think, hey, it's your time. It's your place. Like, this is what you did. You trained so hard to get to this point. Now it's just time to put it all together and show the world what you're capable of doing. And so far it's worked out so good. So, I'm planning on just keeping the same mentality, the same training and just bring that same energy on the stage.
Do you ever get anyone that challenges you in the street to actually slap them?
I've had ridiculous amount of people, not for me to slap them because they don't want any of that. They don't want that smoke, but it's for them to slap me. And I'm like, I'm not just going to let someone slap me. Like, I'm like, I get paid to get slapped. I'm like, well, we're not just doing this for free out here. But, it was funny because even at the after party, after Power Slap 14, there was a couple girls that were like so bent on, can we please slap you? And I was just like, no, like, do it for the content. Like, we'll get a content piece out of it. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm not taking any slaps. And they're like, come on, please. Eventually they ended up like slapping 3 other people and they're like, okay, Nate, it's your turn now. I'm like, all right, just give me one quick. It's like, but other than that, it's just, it's fun. And I mean, they're not hitting like a pro power slaps hitting you either. That's the other side of it. It's like, it's not the same. So it's, I don't know, but like, it's funny because like the girls that were slapping after they slapped me, I kind of showed them some technique and they went to go slap someone else and they actually laid a good slap on one of the guys. They're like, holy crap, who taught you how to slap? And then they pointed me out. And of course now the guys are looking at me like, what are you doing? It's like, but it goes to show you just a little bit of technique and a little fine tuning can go a long way. So.
I mean, you mentioned the one word, those girls mentioned one word that would have triggered me, the word content. I cannot stand content creators. And had they have said that to me, I just would have backhanded them like as hard as I could. And I wear some pretty big rings too, like thick, big rings. One of them is a skull with very sharp rhinestones in the eyes. So I would have gladly would have backhanded them.
That would leave a mark. They'd definitely be feeling that next day.
Well, I'd rather leave scrapes on their faces. Let me see how much more content they'd like to create with a scrape. Exactly. But that's just like a whole other world right now with this whole content creation thing. It's so annoying. That's why I guess I like extreme sports and things like Power Slap. I have yet to go to a live event, so I'm going to try to set that up with Sin. Maybe I'll get invited to an after party if I'm cool enough. Are you looking for a safe way to bet online where there is something for everyone, including yourself? Then go to betonline.ag where I am sure you will find something. Don't forget, it's betonline.ag for the most variety and the safest way to bet online. Growing up, you said you wanted to fight. What were your alternate plans in case this didn't work out for you? Anything fighting related?
When I was going to school, I went to college and I got my degree in fire search and rescue. So I was actually a firefighter for my town that I live in, for the township, for about 7 years. I did that. I actually have the crest of my town on my chest. It was a big part of me. And it was one of those things that I really loved it to start, but then you realize that it's not as glamorous as what people make it out to be. You know what I mean? Like everybody, cops and firefighters are so well respected and everything. And it is, but you don't realize all the stuff that comes along with it. You know what I mean? Like it was almost like, when I was a kid, I used to love like Batman and Spider-Man, and, being a superhero was kind of a cool thing, right? So I think with the firefighting thing in my mind, that's what I was trying to kind of do, is like, oh, I'm I can help the world. I can save, people, blah, blah, blah. But then you realize that there's the other side of it, right? And, there's post-traumatic stress disorder, and there's, things that you can't come back from, in a certain way. You know what I mean? Like it takes a part of you, is basically the best way I could put it. And, after 7 years of being a volunteer, we had 3 months near the end when I decided to retire. And it was we just had some bad calls back to back, and it was just unfortunate, but there was quite a few of us that just said, what, it's, this isn't for me. And, but that was kind of the goal coming out of school. And, that's what my parents wanted me to do. Well, my mom wanted me to be like a lawyer or an architect, right, with a Greek background. Like, you know what I mean? So like, she was shooting for the stars there. I wasn't that great at school by any means, but But I did my best, and I really did enjoy firefighting. But it was just, it's like I said, it was the other side of it that was, it was hard, and even today I still deal with the post-traumatic stress disorder, and I mean it's a mental stigma I think that people have, that they don't understand that the military emergency services they go through it every day, if not multiple times a year, that they have these bad calls that stick with them for quite a while or for life, depending on the severity, right?
Oh, 100%. And you're forgetting the sexual harassment from the women when you guys have your shirts off, or this visual that we have of what firemen look like. No, I have a friend that's an advocate for first responders who's a former cop. I have to watch what I say to him, because I think I've sexually harassed him enough and caused enough trauma. But he has this podcast called The Suffering, and it talks about things
Really?
like that. So you hear a lot of really interesting stories. He's like seriously hot. That is someone I would, anyway, moving right along. I know.
We'll leave it at that. I got where you're going.
I know I can't say things like that. I have to keep it very professional and be normal. Not that we're normal because of look at what we do. You seem to have a very supportive household, which is important, especially with things like this. I knew a lot of UFC fighters coming up from Orange County at the time when I lived there. And like, it's an interesting dynamic. You have a wife or significant other that thinks it's all great being the girlfriend of XYZ, and they think it's cool because you're like a bad boy. But at the same time, no, I don't want you to fight. You're going to die. You can't do it. So was your wife actually pushing you to do this? Like, she thought it was a great idea?
I wouldn't say she was pushing me to do it, but she's always supported me in everything I've done. So she said it's like I said, when I said, hey, I'm going to apply for this, she said, okay, like you have two options. It's either like, you can't just put like go in half-ass kind of thing. Like if you're going to go in, like you got to go, all the way in, like make sure you're dedicated, your nutrition, your training, like making sure that your technique's good. Like everything needs to be on point so that, you accomplish what you're out there to do. And, when I signed up for it, I wasn't just signing up just to be a power slap striker. I was coming to be a world champion, and that's still the goal. That's always been the mission. And she said, like, if you're going to be able to get there, you got to, dedicate your time, and you got to make sure that, you're going to be on point for everything. And that's exactly what I did. And, she's been nothing but supportive since then. And, she hates seeing me, get up there and get slapped. But, I know that she's going nuts when I'm knocking guys out, and, she's having a blast, and she can't wait to go see a live event, because I've talked it up so much. And I can't emphasize enough how different it is live. Like live, like hearing the slaps and like the crowd, and it's incredible. And it's fun because it's more of a party scene. Like it's not like UFC where everybody's sitting in their chairs and we're all stuck in, you know what I mean? You get up in between fights to go grab a hot dog or whatever, popcorn, right? No, it's like you're sitting there and, like they got like lobster and like all types of stuff, like food areas for you. And like everybody's walking around like drinking and talking, and then everybody sits down to watch the fight, but you're at a different table every single time, kind of thing, right? Like it's not like you're dedicated to one seat or anything. So it's like, it's very much a party vibe when you're there live. And I know my wife would love that. So I've been saying to her, like, I got to get you out there one time. And I know that you would hear her for sure. Wherever she was sitting, you would be hearing her. If I'm knocking someone out, she would definitely make it known that she was in the building. So yeah, it's been, but yeah, without that support system, I don't know if I could be where I'm at right now at all. So I do owe a lot of that success to her.
It's incredible how many people's significant others know what they're doing and know it's their dream, or they're actually really good at it and love what they do, and then they don't support it. So you're definitely 10 steps ahead of most people that I know from wrestling, which is great. Hopefully I get to see this and hear the slap. I mean, I see the clips on YouTube all the time, and I see what the girls do, what the guys do. I do not want to piss off one of those girls, but it's so incredible. I mean, I'd be afraid if I was one of those girls to have a smashed face. They're brutal.
It's incredible. And I mean, they're not hitting light either. Like they're hitting harder than some of the guys are. Like I'm holding the pad for them. I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't want to eat that. So, and that's coming from a guy that's eating it from guys that are double my size sometimes. So, that should say a lot there.
Are they doing intergender yet or not?
No. I don't think so. I don't think the commission will actually allow that because, I don't know exactly if there's stipulations to that or not. But I think they tried to do it in MMA, and didn't think it went very well. So I think they kind of kiboshed it. But I could be wrong. I'm not kind of up to date on all that stuff. But as of right now, I know it's just the same gender.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So wait, what are the weight limits? What's the maximum and minimum you could be?
So I think the women's divisions right now is 125. So that would be the cap. So I think it goes down to, I'm not 100% sure on the women's divisions, to be quite honest, but I'm pretty sure it's 126 to 135. And then I think there might be a 136 to 145.
For girls, 145?
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it's just 135, 125 right now. And I think they were trying to bring in like a bigger weight class as well. And then the lightweights is for the males, which is 155. So I think it's like 146 to 155. And then my division, which is 166 to 171. And then you have middleweights, which is 185 is the cutoff. And then you got middleweight, then it would be light heavyweight, which is 205. Heavyweights, which is 206 to 265. And then you got the super heavyweights, which is like 266 to, I think the biggest guy was like 430 or something like that. So some big boys. Yeah, it's some big boys. Some titans clashing is what that is.
Yeah, there's definitely not my weight class in that, so I would never stand a chance. Not that I want to, but that's very interesting. What's a day in the life of Vincent like?
Pretty normal for the most part. It's like I said, I wake up, try to get a run in, before my clients. I work most of the morning. In the afternoon, stop for a quick little lunch. Like I like to hang out with the family in between there. I might have some work in the afternoon to do. Accomplish all that, get my strength and training done. And then it's like I said, then I do like to do recovery in the evening time after dinner. And then hang out with the kids and family. Once the kids are in bed, hang out with the wife for a little bit and call it a night. Usually it's pretty early because it's back up and going again at 4:30 or 4 o'clock, whatever it may be. So yeah, my weekends are my favorite part. Let's put it that way. If I can sleep until like 9 o'clock, I'm living the dream in my life.
So partying hard, I guess. It's living the dream and living the life. 9 a.m. And then bedtime during the weekends if you get up at 9 a.m.?
I mean, it all depends. Like, I mean, on a Saturday night, if I'm out with some friends or something like that, like I could go to bed at like, 2, 3, even 4 in the morning sometimes. So, yeah, it all depends on what kind of shenanigans we're up to. But yeah, most times I'm hanging out with the family and stuff. But there are the occasions that I like to go out and cut loose and enjoy myself. So.
Well, yeah, that's important, especially with what you do. I mean, I'm sure it's good to blow off some steam. Do you guys do a lot of partying when you're on the road for Power Slap? Or is it just go to the hotel, sleep?
Oh, no, like even when I landed in New Orleans, like I landed there, I met up with Darren Godfrey. He's another fighter, and we hadn't seen each other since season 3. So it had been about a year, and first thing he said to me is, well, did you just land? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, time to get a drink. I'm like, man, I'm hungry. Like I got to get some food first. And then we'll have a drink. And the thing with Darren is if you say yes to one drink, you're stuck. Like you're going 12 deep for sure. And sure enough, like we get there and he's like, okay, I'm just going to order a drink for me and, let you guys eat. And then we'll go to another bar and maybe we'll get some drinks after that. Well, he's talking to the waiter and then he ends up ordering 4 drinks for everybody. And sure enough, I bought around, another guy bought around, another guy bought around. And yeah, it wasn't long before 12 drinks hit us and we were feeling pretty good and exploring New Orleans and having some fun with it. And I mean, the culture, the food, the music was incredible. So we were having a blast.
That's the important thing, obviously, is having a blast, especially in a place like New Orleans. I remember my first time there. And I was with a friend of mine. We were a little bit tipsy and we were flashing like Girls Gone Wild, that type of thing. This is years ago. So the guy we were with, there's a cop, and he starts talking to the guy that we're with. Hey, can you come over for a second? And he told us to stop doing that. The cop just wanted to get a Polaroid with us. This is when Polaroids were a thing, so we did not get in trouble. Thank God.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. A corrupt cop, a perverted cop, whoever would have guessed that. But anyway,
yeah, really.
I know.
That never happened.
I wish my friend with the podcast that's suffering, the Kevin Donaldson guy, I wish he'd be more perverted, but I don't know. I got to get off.
Maybe one day. Who knows?
I know, right? Seriously, I have to manifest
he hasn't
that.
left your mind at all.
I put it into the universe. Anyway, so moving right along.
Manifestation. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Manifest that. When is your next Power Slap appearance?
So as of right now, I have no fight news or fight announcement. I'm hoping before the end of the year I can get in one more fight. But we'll see what the matchmakers and the brass have planned. I'm not too sure yet. But I think after a performance like that, and I mean, I didn't take too much damage, so I should be up there a lot sooner than my last time. So especially in between season 3 and my last fight there. So yeah, I'm hoping if not in Abu Dhabi or Vegas, it'll definitely be, maybe December or November if they have another event. So that's what I'm aiming for, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi is great, by the way. I hope you end up going there. It's beautiful.
Me too. I would love to see it. I've always wanted to go and one, to fight there, and to like actually explore and see it. I've never heard a bad thing about Abu Dhabi or like the scenery or, culture or anything. So I'm really excited to hopefully one day see it.
Yeah. So we'll manifest that as well, and hopefully it happens. If people would like to join you on social media, what are your social handles, please?
So on Instagram, it's Vin the Mercenary. Facebook, it's Vince Tracy. TikTok, Vin the Mercenary. X or Twitter, I don't know what it goes by anymore. Same thing, Vin the Mercenary. But yeah, that's pretty much my handle throughout. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us today and teaching me more about the whole way of Power Slap and how it operates, rules and regulations, and all that great stuff. And hopefully I get to see you fight live one day.
Hopefully. And I'll be pointing you out in the crowd, and I want to see you going crazy for me when I do get that knockout.
I will do it. I will go crazy. I will hold a sign. I'll jump up and down. I'll get other people that I don't even know to jump up and down. I promise you, I will make it happen.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yep. And sit tight.